The time is at hand.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
But I am telling you right now,
we need a great reset.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen.
Welcome to In Dark Places. I'm your Huckleberry, Junebug Fugit. I think I might have had a new encounter with my guardian angel on January 13th. You see, like many other towns in the world, we have a little area that's kind of like a T-bone alley type place. There's always car wrecks there, like every day. It's a little area where there's restaurants and a plaza and stuff like that. There's a Taco Bell, a Wendy's, Long John Silver's, Dairy Queen, gas station, all kind of bunched up there right together with about 4 entranceways to get back onto the 4-lane. And every day there's always a car wreck there. People are idiots. They pull right in front of people on the 4-lane. Especially like if they're turning right, going like northbound, like the direction I need to be going to go home. If they're planning on getting in that right lane as they're coming out at their stop sign, they just keep on trucking. They don't even stop. Pull right in front of everybody. So most of the time, 90% of the time, I drive over in the left lane to kind of avoid that at least, because I know that some moron is going to pull in front of me in the right lane. Or vice versa, some moron will stop in front of me in the right lane and they'll be turning off to go to the gas station or the Wendy's or whatever. And they just stop right in the middle of the road and think that everyone behind them is just going to wait for them. And they drive me crazy. But on January 13th, I was coming home from work, driving northbound, heading right toward T-Bone Alley, approaching the Dairy Queen. And there's a bridge there. Right before you get to the Dairy Queen, the bridge comes out onto the 4-lane. Some guy was going like 60 miles an hour coming across that bridge heading toward the 4-lane. And I knew he wasn't going to stop because he was going too fast. He was just going to pull right in front of me as I was going about 50 miles an hour northbound in the right lane of the 4-lane. So, sure enough, he came flying out into the road and then he stopped in my lane. So I guess he was hoping that I was going to T-bone him or something. I don't know what he had going on there. But he was just sitting there in the right lane where I was driving. And I knew that there wasn't going to be any possible way that I could stop in time. So I had to swerve around him, going like behind his vehicle and toward the Dairy Queen parking lot to keep from hitting this guy, because there's no way I could have stopped. He pulled right in front of me. So I drove around behind him because I didn't really know if he was going to decide to start moving again or whatever. If I would have gotten the left lane, he probably would have T-boned me then. But I went around behind him and just swerved back into the road and kept on about my business on the way home. So shout out Guardian Angel. This story was sent in by our friend Paul Chadwick. Update from NASA on asteroid the size of a shard, predicted to hit this year, by Catherine Fiddler. Thanks, Catherine. Good news for the new year. NASA says that a lost asteroid the size of a shard won't hit us on October 5th, although we still technically don't know where it is. The 54 million ton asteroid 2004 FT3 was spotted for less than a day and a half in 2007 before disappearing from view, becoming too faint for telescopes to spot. That still allowed time to collect enough data to estimate the 300-meter wide asteroid's orbit, for some calculations suggesting there were 89 potential impacts with Earth, including one on October 5th, 2024. Although still only 1 in a 11.5 million chance, and your chances of winning the lottery are 1 in 4 million. If 2007 FT3 did strike, it would do so with the force of 2.6 billion tons of TNT. That's enough for regional devastation, but not enough to wipe us off the planet dino style. However, not only was one of those in 2019, NASA remains confident that no known asteroid larger than 104 meters in size has a significant chance to hit Earth for the next 100 years. The space agency is continually scanning the skies for potential hazards, termed near-Earth objects, or NEOs. These are all listed in its database, which anyone can check out. But with the calendar flipping over to 2024 and renewed interest in 2007 FT3 in the media, NASA has doubled down on its position. There are no known impact threats to Earth any time in the next century. NASA and its partners diligently watch the skies to find, track, and categorize asteroids and near-Earth objects, including those that may come close to Earth. A NASA spokesperson told The Standard. Thanks, Standard. Who are you? And it's shout-out time. A big shout-out to Mr. Percival Von Gravy Train over at the City Between the Lakes. And all my other brothers over there. Dave, Barrett, you guys. And shout-out to new listeners. Teresa, Sharon, Jennifer, thanks for joining us.
Hello, In Dark Places listeners, individuals. This is your little friend, Mr. Haunted, sharing some Gravity Road stories with you. Tales of Gravity Roads or Gravity Hills are among the most popular road stories across the country. The stories are similar, yet all possess their own unique plot twists. Most involve at least one violent death and a spirit of some kind that pulls or pushes your vehicle uphill. The preferred scientific method of testing these anomalous roads is to pull your car up to the spot in question, throw it in neutral, and remove your foot from the brake. Then, ever so slowly, your car will begin to travel uphill, as if forced by unseen hands. We've investigated several places where the forces of gravity are flouted. It really works, and the sensation can be very disorienting and unsettling. Those seeking more concrete evidence of the spectral nature of the phenomenon will often sprinkle flour or baby powder on their car's hood or bumpers. Then, after the anti-gravity experiment, they check the car for signs of ghostly handprints in the powder. Some claim that these sites of anti-gravitational pull are merely the result of optical illusions that make the viewer believe they are looking uphill while in fact they are really facing down. To these people we say, "Fiddlesticks! We can tell our ups and downs and the high roads from the low." Sometimes all it takes is a little imagination to make a real joyride out of just another beaten path. Here's a story about a gravity hill. When I was 15, I was taken down New Prospect Road in Jackson, New Jersey, to the very end where it intersects with Farmingdale Road. At the stop sign, my friend placed the car in neutral and let go of the brake. To my amazement, we started to roll backward up the hill. About 5 houses down, a little girl and her father were brutally murdered by a stranger, and legend has it that when you are at this hill, the father is pulling you from the house to protect his daughter from harm.
Not to be outdone, there's a gravity hill in Florida. Spook Hill, located in Lake Wales, Florida, is classified as a type of optical illusion commonly referred to as a gravity hill. A gravity hill optical illusion presents visitors with the feeling of driving uphill when they are truly going downhill. According to psychological science researchers Paolo Bresson, Luigi Garlacasoli, and Monica Baracano, gravity hills, also commonly known as spook hills, are natural places where cars can be put into neutral and seen to move uphill on a slightly sloping road, apparently defying the law of gravity. Typically, the spooky stretch of road is rather short, only a few meters wide, and surrounded by a natural hill landscape without nearby buildings. This description fits the spook hill site. Visitors are asked to stop and put their cars in neutral at a spot that is a large sloping hill which blocks the visitor's view of the horizon. The site is not completely undeveloped, with Spook Hill Elementary School visible to the southwest and a housing development to the east. But the overall sense of place is defined by an uninterrupted view of trees and sky, especially if the visitor chooses to stay looking forward. Starting around 1950, Spook Hill became a significant local tourist attraction. The site was well suited to the post-Second World War automotive age, since nearly every visitor to Spook Hill would have been in an automobile. Roadside attractions would have been an especially appropriate service to advertise, especially ones within driving distance, expressed through signage, advertising brochures, and even a locally produced play. The Legends of Spook Hill are an excellent example of the craft of legend building applied to a local tourist attraction, with an expansive lore consisting of a series of narratives which increasingly connected the site to the pivotal aspects of Florida history. The stories of Spook Hill show the ways that successful branding imbued a site with increased meaning and appeal. One legend explains that a Florida pirate is buried at the hill and pushes cars away. Another legend claims that a spirit of a giant alligator inhabits the area. The veracity of these claims have yet to be verified. The site's history also demonstrates the connections between the lake's whales, mid-century tourist attractions, and other local businesses. A synergistic relationship characterized by sponsorships, advertising, and printed materials.
This one's called Gravity Hill of the Unknown Soldier. In Elkhorn City, Kentucky, the grave of an unknown soldier sits on a small hill overlooking the highway. Legend has it that if you stop near the grave on the road and put your car in neutral, the soldier will drag your car up the hill. Holy mackerels.
Elkhorn City, Kentucky is about an hour away from me. Nice little town. I've been there before. And it's close to those goblin guys that Greg Newkirk was talking about in Hillier, Kentucky. It's been a while since we checked in on our friends from Australia. So, how about Anti-Gravity Hill? Anti-Gravity Hill in Woodend is one of the best kept secrets of Melbourne, and most unusual and baffling places. Standing near the bottom of the hill, facing uphill, if you tip water onto the road, it flows up the hill, not downhill, as gravity would normally do. Place a ball on the road, and the same thing happens. It rolls up the hill. If you are in a car, stop at the bottom of the hill, place the car in neutral, and it will slowly roll up the hill. Another writer describes it as a magnetic pull. It's a steep hill, and cars appear to roll up the hill. If you run, it feels like you're running downhill when you're running up.
How about this one? The Gravity of Spook Rock Road. Spook Rock Road in Rockland County, New York, is a long, twisting road that starts in Suffern, sorry, my eyes, and eventually end at Route 202. Near the end, the road appears to go downhill, and if you park your car there, turn it off, and leave it in neutral, you will roll uphill. A while back, a few people studied it and concluded that the last stretch of the road was an optical illusion. It only looks like a hill that is going down. It is really going upward. You could have fooled me.
Our location, Ao Valley Road in Maui, Hawaii. There was a full moon. We were in our teens. It was me and my 4 guy friends. We were told to park our car under a tree where someone hung themselves, and the spirit would push your car uphill as long as you didn't look back. The first time we tried this, it was extremely slow, barely inching uphill, and then stopped a little way up the hill. I drove back around to the spot where we were at to try it again. They all kept saying, "Don't look back or the spirit will stop pushing us." So we didn't look back. The car moved faster, like the pace of someone walking. The car had the same jerking movements, like someone was pushing it. There were a few moments the car would stop completely, and then it moved some more. We made it further down the road this time. We were getting excited. Our friends wanted to do it again, but with proof that I was not pushing the gas pedal. So, while I was in the driver's seat, I parked under the tree. The gear was in neutral, and I had my feet hanging out of the car window as proof that I was not pushing the gas pedal. The car started moving. My friends were laughing, pointing at my feet saying, "Hey, who knows, maybe we will go faster this time." I saw the car accelerating quickly on its own, climbing 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. We were flying up the hill, while we were all screaming with pure fear now. I tried to get my feet out of the window as quickly as I could, so I could apply the brakes. Easier said than done. I felt all tangled up and a bit stuck in that awkward position, while still steering the car. We had sharp turns that you should not be doing at that speed. By the time I got my feet to the brake and applied it, we were all the way up the hill where the stop sign was. I could have hit oncoming traffic if I wasn't lucky. My friends told me they were so scared. They wanted to go to church and never do that again. Urban legend says there was a guy who climbed on top of his car to hang himself. So that's why he pushes other people's cars away, so they won't do the same thing.
Sometimes you gotta go back to actually move forward. And I don't mean going back to reminisce or chase ghosts. I mean going back to see where you came from, where you been, how you got here, see where you're going. I know there are those that say you can't go back. Yes, you can. Just have to look in the right place.
Racing with the Devil on Gravity Hill. Bucks County, Gravity Hill, is one of Pennsylvania's legendary places. On maps, this Gravity Hill is Buckingham Mountain, located in Buckingham Township near the Mount Gilead African Methodist Episcopal Church. There, with a blatant disregard for the laws of nature and physics, things are said to roll uphill. Cars, water, you name it. And dark legends say black magic and other evils are behind these amazing powers. The church and graveyard at the hill are said to be stamping ground of local Satanists. I thought it should be stomping, but it says stamping ground. I guess they could stamp on it. And there's a cursed tombstone in the graveyard. As the story goes, once you touch it, You're supposed to run as fast as you can back towards the cemetery fence and hop over it. The dash is a race with the devil himself, and if you lose, you will be cursed with bad fortune immediately. Some say it means certain death. Holy mackerels.
North Carolina's Gravity Hill is quite the mystery. It is true that life is often stranger than fiction, especially when things like this unexplainable anomaly perplex us, and the bizarre science of it all defies what we know about nature. One such strange phenomena exists in the Sandhills region of North Carolina and is called Gravity Hill. In the city of Richfield, you'll find a hill that, as its namesake inclines, literally defies the laws of gravity. It is unknown if this behavior is caused by the paranormal or if it's just an optical illusion, but many claim it is a result of Confederate soldier ghosts being pushed and are still trying to get up that hill. If you visit this location, you'll see that there is definitive proof your car will go up the hill. One version of the story is that years ago, on a dark night, on Richfield Road, a young mother and her child were driving. Suddenly, her car stalled. Quickly, she got out and attempted to push the car up the hill to safety. Just as she reached the top, a truck carelessly sped along the dark street. Without time to properly brake, the truck struck the mother and child. Both died instantly. But the mother and young child did not quite leave Gravity Hill. No, it seems that the mother is continuously living that night over and over, but now your car can be the one she pushes up the hill. Stop at the bottom of Gravity Hill and put baby powder on the trunk of your car. Sit in the car and wait. Suddenly, you'll feel the car being pushed up the hill. No, you'll literally be going up the hill. But don't freak out, because once you get to the top, you'll see handprints on the back of your car. If you think this is the stuff of legends, just ask the hundreds of people who have tried this before and experienced it for themselves. And then there are those who like the science, the facts, and the truth over a spooky story or a fun late night experience. Their argument is that the hill is actually an optical illusion. While your eyes and sense of gravity perceive you as going uphill, the hill is actually going down. Your car was never going uphill to begin with. You were just coasting on a downward slope, while believing a mother and her child ghost were pushing your car. But sometimes science is proved invalid, and in this case, it's up to you if you want to believe in fact, fiction, or mystery. You can find Gravity Hill in Richfield, adorned in graffiti with markers on the beginning and end of the road.
And apparently, there's a popular place on Sussex Turnpike in Morris Township, New Jersey. For more than a century, Sussex Turnpike in Morris Township, New Jersey, has experienced a phenomenon known as Magnetic Hill. It sits at the entrance to the Bradford and Butterworth housing developments in Morristown, on the location of a Victorian mansion built in 1865. One legend says that inventor Thomas Edison developed a special formula that he poured on the road, and the remains of this spectral potion create the magnetic force. When Weird US visited, a local man told us that the roadway had been regraded and repaved. This, he admitted with a sigh, has somewhat subdued its powers to distort the laws of physics. They covered over the potion. Also, on Sussex Turnpike, between Starlight Drive and Rayner Road, I want to live on Starlight Drive, in Morris Township, is a stretch of road called Magnetic Hill. Traveling west by car, you are driving uphill. Take your foot off the gas, and you keep going up. My dad had a state-issued map from 1972 that marks the spot. Since then, he has not been able to find another New Jersey map that mentions it. Holy mackerels!
We got some more synchronicity there. Right before Jimmy sent me that story, I was watching a video about Thomas Edison's little contraptions he had to communicate with the dead. And Jimmy mentioned Thomas Edison in that story. Weird. The story is by Navy B, who wrote about her experience visiting Whittier Gravity Hill, just southeast of Los Angeles. 3 of my friends and I decided to do something unforgettable for once and not stay at home, watch a movie, or go out to a fun place like we always do. So my friend Nancy mentioned that we should go to Gravity Hill. Let me just say that the time was 2:30 a.m. and without hesitation we all agreed. As we drove there, we were all really excited because we had heard so many stories about this place. As soon as we got to the turn point, I got a very uneasy feeling, and so did the other girls. It was 4 of us in a car. Upon arriving to this mysterious place, the first thing you see is a cemetery and a big white building. It almost looks like an insane asylum in the middle of a graveyard. I swear to this day that I saw someone or something walk across that cemetery in front of us, sort of like a shadow or figure. We stopped right next to the cemetery, turned off the car, but we left it in neutral. We waited in the pitch black. Within 5 minutes of sitting and looking around, the car started to move uphill by itself. We looked at each other in disbelief. We got so scared. I kept my eyes looking straight ahead because I was afraid to look outside the window, thinking I might see someone next to me. My friend Nancy, who was driving, panicked and decided this was it and wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. She tried to speed out, but the car would go no more than 20 miles an hour. Remember, this is a brand new car, so this kind of thing should not happen. We were terrified, and she was freaking out, as were the others. She had her foot all the way into the pedal, but the car wouldn't budge. Our bodies felt heavy, almost like the gravity was pulling us back. But we were far from the mystery point, where the car moved on its own. I started to pray in silence because I couldn't stand the heaviness of my body and the fact that we were going nowhere at that speed. Believe it or not, the car did not go any further than 20 miles per hour for about a mile. My friend Kathy, who was sitting behind me, said that as we passed the last turn, she saw a figure standing next to a tree. So she closed her eyes and started to pray until we got out of the hill.
All link arms in the gates of hell. I dropped my book. The Twin Tunnels are located in Valley Creek Road in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Back in the late 1800s or early 1900s, a young woman was run out of town after giving birth out of wedlock. She ran to the tunnels and hanged herself from a tree that rose over them. She was holding the baby when she jumped. When the rope ran out of slack, the baby fell the rest of the way and died on impact. When you walk into the tunnel at night, you can sometimes hear the baby crying or see its ghostly apparition. When we were in high school, we used to make trips to the tunnels every weekend. They were definitely creepy, pitch black, and deathly quiet, except for the sound of dripping water. We would all link arms and walk in the middle of the tunnel where the girl hung herself. That story's from Nick Lombardo. Thanks, Nick.
Here's one that I talked about in the early days of the show. 22 Mine Road near Logan, West Virginia. Just about 25-30 minutes away from me. Mamie Thurman's Ghost, 22 Mine Road's Haunting Mystery. Nestled in Logan County, West Virginia, 22 Mine Road bears a chilling legacy of Mamie Thurman's tragic fate. Located atop Trace Mountain, 22 Mine Road is a haunting reminder of Mamie Thurman's ghostly presence. In 1932, Mamie Thurman, a vibrant housewife, met a tragic end on this road. Her body was discovered amidst a harrowing scene of violence. Married to a local policeman, Mamie lived an extraordinary life, attending church and engaging in community activities. Her unassuming routine took a dark turn when her lifeless body was found. Talking about her good attributes there, but she was a little naughty, shall we say. She had a few boyfriends on the side. Garland Davis stumbled upon the gruesome sight while picking berries. A young woman shot and stabbed, abandoned in a ditch. The police swiftly identified her as Mamie. The investigation uncovered eerie details. Mamie's belongings lay near her, ruling out robbery as a motive. Suspicion veered toward Harry Robertson, a bank bookkeeper, and Clarence Stevenson, Robertson's accomplice. Robertson, involved in an affair with Mamie, was a prime suspect. Stevenson, his assistant, orchestrated their secret meetings, ultimately leading to Mamie's tragic fate. Despite suspicions, Robertson escaped indictment, while Stevenson faced trial and imprisonment. Yet Mamie's presence endures beyond her tragic demise. Legends swirl around 22 Mine Road. Her ghostly figure is reportedly seen walking along its path. Furthermore, local lore claims that parking at the road's base and setting a car in neutral results in an eerie uphill movement attributed to Mamie's spectral hands. I experienced this phenomenon. My Jeep defied gravity, rolling uphill as if guided by an unseen force. Was it an illusion or a mystical occurrence? Perhaps it's a mystery of the terrain, but my car moved against gravity's logic. I couldn't help but consider Mamie's lingering presence. And one time I was up on 22 Mine Road trying to figure out where you were supposed to park and witness all this stuff. I had my wife with me, and I got really motion sickness or something there. I don't know what the deal was. Never had that feeling before. But I was freaking out and shaking and nervous and stuff being on top of that mountain. It was a weird feeling. And I didn't know how we were going to get down from the mountain because my wife doesn't drive. So I kind of crawled back down the road there in the car and got out of there because I didn't like that feeling. We are woefully out of time this week. Woefully. Thanks for listening. We're glad you joined us. Hope you liked it. Special thanks, Jimmy Haunted, Paul Chadwick. Take care of yourselves out there. We'll be back next week. God bless.